Hey, everybody. Justin Three Geeks Podcast, another conversation. I have Nina with me. How's it going, Nina?
Excellent, I have to say.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's good to hear. Can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself? An actress, of course, actor.
I'm an actor. I've been acting most of my life. I sang in a rock band and toured the world. I was born and raised in Denmark. And what else can I say? I'm
whatever you want. It's
I'm a hardcore animal rights activist. I just actually I just came from a photo shoot, so I was just trying to fix my forehead because I have helmet lines from a motorcycle photo shoot. So it was like what a beautiful day. So I love motorcycle. I love anything adrenaline-driven things. And what else?
I'm not interrogating you.
I always like to play other characters. I like to talk about other people. But when it comes to you, it's always like my life always seems so boring because I lived it, you know? So I'm much rather into you, Justin.
Oh, okay. We can. But I think we'd find out who is the boring life out of this conversation if we're going to do that. If we go down that route. That's awesome. I know we have a few films you have coming up.
Yes.
We should talk about that, like Cold Meat. That looked cool. I watched the trailer. It looks sweet.
Thank you. Yeah, I that one, it just came out. It was released. I'm starring in it with Ellen Leach, and it's I would say it's a psychological thriller, but they're pushing it as a horror because it's kind of spooky as well. The director did a really good job at scaring people, so keeping them on the edge of their seat. So that one I'm very proud of. I have one coming out in May with a guy named Aaron Eckhart, who's a fantastic actor, with a director named Jesse Johnson, and I did his movie that I starred in called Hell Hath No Fury, a World War II movie where the director tortured me and had me shave off my hair, and amongst other things. So that movie, Chief of Station, is coming out in May. So that's pretty exciting. And then I leave here in a few weeks for Canada for another very exciting project that I cannot wait to talk about, where I play a warrior.
That seems on brand. Seems on brand. Fantasy seems on brand. Playing a warrior.
Yeah, you would love it because it's fantasy. It's a remake of something. You know,
you can't say anything. Now you've me intrigued. You have to tell me when we're not recording.
And I play like the female warrior.
Cool.
The head of the thieves. Yes.
Nice. Cool. So what kind of got you into acting? I know you have relatives that are very famous actors. So
yes,
was that kind of lend itself to it, or were you always drawn to it?
Yeah, I wasn't good at anything else. Like, I always envy people that have other talents. You know, I can't cook. I can't type. I'm too independent. I could never be a housewife. I just, I don't have anything to fall back on. So I didn't have a choice. I think for some of us, acting or the arts choose you.
Sure.
Yes. So that's what happened. I knew from a very early age that that's what I wanted.
Now, with someone kind of in your family doing movies, did you grow up watching that, or was that kind of weird to watch like a relative in a film? You know what I mean? Is it odd being like the other side of it? Like, I don't know anybody in films. Like, I could watch somebody and not really be like, oh, I saw him at Christmas. You know what I mean?
Well, I wasn't allowed to watch TV when I was a young girl because my dad worked at the Danish Film School and he didn't want to stifle my imagination. So, grew up in Europe, in Denmark. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't watch my first movie until I was 12.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then I didn't meet my grandfather for a very long time because my dad was kind of like the bastard child. He was, my grandfather was a big actor in Leningrad, and he was Stalin's personal favorite actor. So he would act for him in all the Chekhov plays, and he was Chekhov's favorite. So he it was one of those where my dad, he was Jon Snow.
Yeah.
He was the bast child.
Denmark was the far north. That's good.
Yeah, I don't know really what to relate it to, but
okay.
yeah, it's because back then in Russia, I mean, it was very like, I guess it's a little bit like how it is now. I mean, you can get killed for doing the wrong thing.
Sure.
So my grandfather didn't really have a choice then to, continue with his life the way it was, and didn't have much contact with my dad. He tried to have it on the side. So, and I was, so desperate to get close to him, but I had a gypsy Russian grandmother who toured, and I toured with her, and I was very close to her. And I moved to Moscow when I was 15, and I went to the Bolshoi Theatre. I went to school. I became a ballerina.
That's awesome.
And lived with her, and I got I got it all through her, so to speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned you're boring. None of this has been boring. So we're like 10 minutes in. This hasn't been boring at all. But so do you still practice dance, I guess? The ballerina stuff? Do you still do that?
I mean, I always kind of kept, I was a prima ballerina, and then I retired when I was 18, but I, always kept my dancing. And then I became an amateur boxer because my footwork was excellent, and I was a very angry rock chick. So, the perfect combination.
Yeah.
Angry ballerina was apparently made the perfect boxer, because I was angry and had physical discipline unlike anyone else. Because the Bolshoi Theatre is like going to Navy SEAL. It's pretty much the same. I mean, it is insane. It's just pure insanity. So, I had breaking my nose 3 times. I can't hear my right ear. My wrist is like all fucked up because it's been broken. So it's like I don't I don't know. It didn't. It was just a natural progression, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's normal. Yeah, you go with your grandmother to go be a ballerina, and then become a boxer, and then become that's a normal progression that seems pretty normal for people.
You see it, and then I start singing in rock bands, and then I start getting cast at all the badasses. Except actually, Cole Mead she's still a real badass, but she's a more quiet, internalized badass. She's
like
not
a survivor, right? Because I mean, it's a horror, it's a psychological horror. Like the setting looked really cool. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, so I'm sorry, but like the winter theme and things like that seemed really, really cool. Was it fun to be in a set piece that was based in kind of winter?
Yeah, we were shooting in Canada, and it was freezing. And, the environment is such a big part of this movie. And I thought the director did such a great job at creating this kind of, you jump into like another world, very cold world. So that helped. I always like to be in the element more so than being on a sound stage and acting to a tennis ball or cross on the wall. I like it to be as real as possible.
Sure. It kind of helps draw out the kind of the creative juices, right? You got to get the best of everyone on set. Do you have any fun stories of on set, like being in the wilderness of Canada?
I mean, fun.
I mean, it's all relative.
Yes,
okay.
No, I did. I mean, I had a fun because I love playing challenging parts and see how far, I can push myself into playing these parts. When I first read it, I was like, I don't know. I mean, a normal beaten down girl living there and working in a diner with a single mom, living with my mom and having an abusive husband. I was like, I just don't know if I can go there at this point in my life, but I like challenging parts. So for me, sometimes playing challenging is it's more challenging to play normal than the crazy parts, because those are easy.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Just play the crazy part, but she's just a normal girl, trying to survive like most of us, and doesn't have any superpowers or special tricks up her sleeve, and she just have to like dig in herself. So that was fun to explore that her
Sure.
and find her power. And my co-star was extremely fun to work with. And the way it's written like a play. And I come from the theater background. So it was so much fun to do, I felt like I was back doing a play, like we shot long scenes with a really talented actor, Alan Leach from Downton Abbey. He's really fantastic actor. So it was a lot of, it felt like playing again, where sometimes a movie set can become very technical.
Sure. Okay.
So the art is lost, where this one I got to play.
Sure. And it feels like it's a fairly small cast, and that set piece kind of lends, at least the story that I saw in the trailer, lends itself to kind of a smaller grouping of people. Is that harder, or do you like having kind of that tight-knit group for a film, maybe like this?
I like when it's like tight. I like when we are like very close, but I mean, it has its pros and cons.
Yeah.
It's like we're doing 10 takes when you're doing like independent, lower budget movies, and they're standing there with a leaf blower, and then the cord is not working, and you're doing a billion takes in the actual freezing snow. I mean, it wasn't snowing, but there was no wind. So they had, the budget was so stripped down that it was like, challenging at times as an actor too, where I think on the bigger movies we have more time, we have more takes. I had like 1 or 2 takes.
Is that stressful? Like we have this right? We got,
yeah. So that's like the pros and cons. But then I get more, you get to work closer with the director, and I get to explore more in those kind of movies. Like if you have ideas, you get to try things out more, where I think on the bigger ones it's more scheduled, and you're there to fill a part in a franchise a lot of times. There's not a lot of space to explore.
Sure. So let's talk about that a little bit then. If you have like a couple of takes, is it one where like the first take is exactly how the director wrote it, and then you have notes of like, hey, I feel like this could go better or differently, and we might like it this way? Is that usually how it goes, or is that prior to even shooting? Is it you guys in a room, like in wherever, and you just talk about it prior to shooting?
Yeah, for us in this particular movie, we had a couple of days of rehearsals, which is rare, which was amazing. And then, because this was the movie, it wasn't about let's try like this, let's try like that. It was more about, because there were long scenes, it was arcs, it was tones of the overall scene, or it was how that's how it normally is. Okay, I'll adjust it a little more like this, or like a little more like that. But in this kind of thing, we got to play. I felt like every time he said action, I wasn't actually sure what was going to happen. Like I would just do it, and then all of a sudden she started crying the wrong place. It wasn't where. All of a sudden she would yell when she wasn't supposed to yell, because it just all got to me. And I got to play around. So I kind of never knew what I was going to do. And I was with an actor, I think, who was kind of on the same page as me. So it was very exciting, because I didn't know what was going to happen from second to second.
Sure.
So that is, to me, so much more fun than
let's try
and have this option in case you don't like this option. And with a low budget, there's no options. There's just get it right and get it in the can.
Sure. Oh, that makes a ton of sense. Now, with your co-star Alan, did you have to build kind of a long rapport? Did you work a lot prior to filming? Just kind of, hey, we're going to be kind of in a close-knit set for a while. Did you have a lot of interaction prior to, like when you guys?
I never met any of them. I was cast. They made a straight offer to me, so I just showed up in Canada. Sweet. And I was like, Alan, please don't suck. Don't suck.
Fair. Yeah.
Just go there with me. Don't be a prude. Just go there all the way. Let's do this or go home. You just pray, because the truth is I'm only as good as, the people that I'm surrounded by. If the makeup is awful, it falls apart. If the visual effects is awful, it falls apart. If the, that's the thing with movies. It's not one person, it's everyone.
Yeah.
And I just, in that case, I mean, the director did a good job picking. He went there and he stepped it up, and I was like, okay, we're good. We can do this.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. Any other like fond memories of filming Cold Me?
Yeah, I feel I mean there's so many, and there's so many, and the thing is, it's like I did this movie like a year and a half ago. So sometimes it's like, you especially a character like this, because it's Ellen Leach's character is based after a real character.
Oh, okay.
Two characters that's blended together. So I studied those characters a lot, and I learned a lot about those kind of people and those kind of events, and they're actually true. It's like lifted straight off the actual situations. So it was like a whole new world was open to me, because I sometimes I'm a little naive, I guess, with that kind of stuff.
Same.
So I just learned all of that stuff, and I learned that I like those movies that are not the traditional ones. I would like to do more of those.
It's not so straightforward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
That makes sense. Yeah. So it brings up one more question for around that piece of it, at least. How do you do like a character study? Since there are people based in real life events and things like that, like how do you go about studying that to get ready for your role?
Well, it all varies. I'm obsessive compulsive, I would say.
Okay.
So I just try to gather as much information as I can. And I try to go there as much as I can, to like, how would she wake up? What would she have for breakfast? What's her bio? Where is she from? What's her thought on a day-to-day basis? I'm a very physical actor. So my first is, how does she walk? How does she sit? She definitely doesn't sit like me. She's a little more, she's a little more, she's not really used to people listening to her and her really being heard. And she's one of those that probably doesn't have a lot to say. And I use most of my experiences from my own life. I'm kind of method like that. Stanislavski said that if you can kill a bug, you're a killer. Yeah. Yeah, we have it. We have it in us. So a lot of times is just to dig deep enough to find whatever it is that you're looking for. And I believe I cannot play something I don't have.
Yeah.
But truthfully, so a lot of it is going back to when I was feeling like her in abusive relationships, not feeling like the underdog, worthless, like the victim, didn't have a choice. I was stuck. So I had to go back to these wonderful places I used to live.
That sounds awful. Yeah.
Eat crappy food. So I felt kind of like, just like, that's all of it. I go there as much as I possibly can. And do as much research as I can, and then once you show up on set, you just have to kind of throw it all away, and whatever sticks.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. And where can folks find it? I can see right now. I can get it on Amazon Prime. Is that the only place?
Yeah. Yes, and Amazon Prime and iTunes, and let me just see. I have there's like a whole bunch of places now where we can get it.
Cool.
So I can't see it right now, but if you go to my social media, it's all there where you can see it and download it, and reviews, and where to stream it, and
Cool. I will make sure it's in the edit of this. I will include all of that.
Yes.
Awesome. Do you want to talk about Chief of Station at all? Do you want to talk about that?
I could talk about it. It's super fun. Chief of Station is a super fun action movie. Aaron Eckhart is the lead, and Jesse Johnson directed it. And Jesse hired me to play this, again, very different part, kind of like I don't know, like an M kind of character.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and she had a little thing with Aaron, and. Yeah, it's a fun movie. I mean, I haven't watched it, So it's hard to like talk about something when you haven't watched it.
Sure.
But Aaron is just so wonderful. So I'm sure it's going to be amazing. And Jesse Johnson is amazing. So I can't imagine it's going to be anything but fantastic. And Olga is in it, who is great too. Olga Kolyenga, Bond Girl is in it. And Daniel Bernhardt, who I did Hell Hath No Fury with, is in it. And so it's I think it's a fun one, a fun, entertaining. It's like the opposite of Cold Meat. Cold Meat is like psychological, it makes you think, it's based on real events, all that stuff. And I think Chief of Station is just like an action feel good, but well done. The script was good, it was entertaining. I think I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I see it's in post-production. Do we have like a release date tentatively?
They said May. They released that it was going to be out in May, but sometimes, they lie. But that's what they said. They said in May. Yeah. So just keep an eye out for it. Yeah, I think it's going to be a really fun one. That's awesome. So that one is next. And then the one that
a bunch of stuff. Please, whichever one you want to talk about next. I was like, you can talk about whichever one you want.
Well, I think the Chief of Station, and I mean, I wish I could talk about the next one, but because I'm just getting ready for it. So it's like it's acting is kind of like food. When I eat sushi, it's my favorite. When I eat Italian, that's my favorite. When I eat, it's like you're always so into whatever it is that you're doing. So that's what I feel like. I always feel like now I'm working on this one, so this thing is the best thing.
Well, that makes a ton of sense. Is it nice, like, not to say you, I'll make sure I phrase this right, but when you leave like a psychological horror like Cold Meat, is it nice to decompress from that? Like, I imagine you're in like dark thoughts for like a while. You know what I mean? Like, in my mind, I think of like Heath Ledger took a while to get out of like the Joker, right? Like, it was like, man, that really messed me up. I thought about a lot of dark stuff to get here and live in this space for a while. Like, is that hard to get out of? Is that a hard?
Yeah, I mean, when I was shooting Cold Meat, there was a couple of times where I was like, I mean, why am I doing this? Mm-hmm. I was like, Nina, there must be something seriously wrong with you. Like, why are you volunteering and signing up for doing this? I mean, you're torturing yourself. Like, like I was like, what is wrong with you? Like, normal people don't have the urge to do this to themselves. Mm-hmm. And then it always takes me a while to shake it. I try to do certain rituals to kind of like let it go, not to carry it with me for too long. But I mean, you know, in these characters, you learn so much from them and they become a part of you. So, you know, I don't think you can just shake it off and then leave. You know, I always try to do something nice after. I remember I did Cold Meat, and then I think I went to like Europe. I went to Prague, and then I went to Denmark to see my family. And then I always try to do something, something nice.
Sure. Yeah.
After.
Just like to bookend it with something positive. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yes. Like a treat. Awesome. Yeah. To shake it out. And then I think the best thing for me is physically. Like, that's the fastest. As soon as I got out of there, I was like, all right. Hit the gym, Nina. Let's go. Just like take yourself back instead of just, you know, because I would notice things. Like, what was it? I remember I finished it and I was still in Canada, and I was like in the grocery and somebody like jumped the line or something like that. I can't remember something, and I didn't.
You punched him in the head.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't speak up. And in the past, I've been like, "Hey, do you mind? Like, there's a line, and we're all standing here and." You know, I would just say something. That's who I am. But Anna wasn't like that. And I could feel it. I was just standing there watching myself, like having like an out of body experience watching myself. And I was like, Nina, say something.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Like, oh. Yeah. So, I think actually it probably took longer than I wanted it to take.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like you're mourning that character. Now it's gone. And then you're on to the next one. Yeah. Sure. It's like there's always like a process. It's the same in music. Once you get off a tour, you live in this surreal world. And the same with a movie set. You're away from home and you're with all these people you don't know, and it's also new, and there's people telling you what to do and where to be at all times, and then all of a sudden you're home and it's like, oh, I have to think about what to eat for dinner, and no one is serving me my 5 top choices.
Right. Yeah.
It's
That's
like
awesome.
yeah, it's like all of a sudden you have to like it becomes you have to do the normal things. Well, that's all you want when you're away. Whenever I'm shooting, all I want to do is go home, and then when I'm home, I just want to go. So I don't know what that's about, but I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels like that.
I always want to be away from my home.
But then when you're away, and when you finally come home, you're like in your bed, and you're like, oh my
it's
God.
nice. You're right. I think you're right.
Right?
Speaking of world tours, let's talk a little bit about your music, because on my drive home today, I listened to, I think, Psycho Bitch. I think I listened to like a few other stuff. I forget the other one, but it reminded me of like Evanescence. Was there like or alt rock, things like that? Like, is that where you kind of draw some
I was
inspirations
a
from,
huge Evanescence fan. Linkin Park, Evanescence is what I grew up with. And then
Hybrid Theory? Are we talking which Linkin Park? There's like 11 iterations of Linkin Park.
Well, Hybrid Theory.
Like Meteora, stuff like that?
Yes, was like that album that kind of got to me. And then, I toured, Chester took me under his wing.
That's awesome.
Because he stole my drummer.
It's rude.
Yeah, he had a band called Dead by Sunrise, and he stole my. Oh, I let him borrow him. I mean, I'm like, okay, go tour with Chester. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say no either. That's right.
I'd be like, go tour with Chester, and if I can open for those guys and be part of it, no, they're amazing guys. He's no longer with us.
Yeah.
Which is still it hasn't sunken in, but they were amazing guys. So that's where I started, and then when I started boxing, I discovered 9 Inch Nails, and my life changed. So where have I been? He feels and thinks like me, Trent Reznor, but he has no tattoos and piercings, and he's just like me, normal, but has a very dark soul.
Yeah, Hurt. Oh man, I know the Johnny Cash version and their version of Hurt. Man, oh my gosh.
Great. Well, you're onto something when Johnny Cash covers.
Yeah, it makes
right.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, then it's like people might not like him or understand Trent Reznor and 9 Inch Nails. Well, you're definitely onto something, and that's what happened. I mean, I didn't know what it was. I didn't particularly like the music, but it ripped my heart out.
Yeah.
So that's changed my life, and that's when I was like, I want to do like a more of an industrial rock with like a female voice, and then I got signed to Warner Brothers, and we toured, and then the last band I was with was Letters from the Fire.
Okay.
And then I stopped a few years ago because I couldn't do both. I couldn't go on tour and then try to act and do music. I just couldn't do both.
Yeah. What's the guy's name?
Jared Leto.
Thank you. Yeah, like he hardly had.
There's only one person who's.
Yeah, I was like, that's it. Yeah.
That's it, but he doesn't do it simultaneously.
Right. He either does 30 Seconds to Mars or he does acting.
Yeah, because you can't do both. But his bank account looks different than mine, so he can take the time off and and I'm sure his bandmates are on retainer, and that's his brother, so that's already a little easier. My bandmates all go to the movie were not happy, I tell you that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was because they just sit around and wait, and I didn't have them on retainer so it was just too hard to do both. I'm still doing music on this new project. The director wants me to do the music on it, and it's like.
So you're composing? That's exciting.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to do the theme song. I've done that in the past. So I just found out yesterday that we wanted to do that. So awesome. And then I have another project I'm doing music on, and I think I'll do spot dates, festivals, but not tours.
Not to reminisce too hard, but what was your favorite tour? Did you have a favorite location, a favorite spot?
My favorite person to tour with was Meatloaf.
All right. He seems like a fun guy.
He just like kind of took me under his wing, you know, and he just was, you know.
I mean,
Now, when nobody else wanted to give me a chance, he gave me a chance. My first band, I toured with him for 3 months, so that kind of changed my life. So Meatloaf was like my biggest experience at the time, playing for 3,500, 5,000 people. So that was like a big deal when I first started. So I think, yeah, he kind of like opened my eyes to a lot of things, and just watching, because he's very theatrical. He's actually another one that did both acting and.
You're right. I forgot about him, but yeah.
Yeah, he actually did both. Yeah. But I had so many, one of my first gigs when I came here, I booked a reality TV show with Chris and Tommy Lee, and they stopped me on a tour bus for 3 months to teach people about the environment and music.
How did that go?
It was insane. It was insane. And then, I met Nicky Six saying some of his projects, his solo projects. It was, the music industry.
How does somebody make a movie? Like, how do you just thousands of people are trying to break in the right connection. How does
Well, because I think it's, preparation and community. I did Battleground Earth. I met the assistant. And she was like, I have a rock thing. I was like, yeah. I want you to manage me because I can and
still very
well, thank you. Yes, like I think that a lot of people do that when and then you do shows, and then people see you, and then people start talking about you, and I started handing out flyers on Sunset Boulevard and doing pay to play, where you buy 50 tickets on the whiskey, and then for $500, starving musician actor, $500 is a lot.
Yeah.
And then I'll pay $500, get the ticket, and I'll just stand on Sunset Boulevard with my bandmates, and we would put stickers at Amoeba, and we would have 3 people come, then we'd have 5 people, then we have 15, then we would win some contest, then we just built one freaking can at a time. Yeah, until we probably sucked in the beginning. and then you just become good enough that because people are always like, well, if I only had money, I don't buy all of that. I'm like, just become good and it will come, because you can still buy it and be sucky, and nothing is going to happen even if you get the opportunity. Like, just earn it, and they will come. It takes longer and more work, but that's how, that's how I've always done it. I don't know any other way. I've never been lucky, so to speak.
Totally fair. That's incredible. Any certain venue you really liked, and any location?
Well, because they're personal. When I did Battleground Earth, I performed at the Greek, which is my favorite.
That's cool.
And then I would, the whiskey. I would do the whiskey every month, and that was just something very nostalgic about the whiskey. And the Key Club on Sunset Strip. I don't know. It's just when you would go there and watch bands, and then one day you're up there doing it on those certain stages.
Yeah.
It's pretty profound. I feel like, and then in the Midwest, there's a lot of angry people, and
there's a lot of us. Yeah.
At the time really fit well with those angry people. So, and it's for me, the experience has been that the harder the music, the nicer the people.
Sure.
Pop stars, can have a bit of an attitude, but the heavier the music, the harder the music is, the nicer the people are, because we're up there screaming about it, singing about it,
just venting.
Out. Venting, and then we could go back, and everyone is actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, pretty chill.
Yeah,
for sure.
So so I actually relate to those kind of people.
Yeah, same. I'm a Midwest guy through and through.
yeah. I mean, I don't really fit because I'm like a vegan from Denmark, very liberal. So I'm like kind of like everyone is like, "You're a vegan? What's a vegan?" They're like, "You can't eat chicken," and I was like, "No, it's an animal," and they're just like, they don't really understand me. But we really click.
Yeah. We don't always have to be all alike to get along.
I know, exactly. So I had a wonderful time.
Great.
In the Midwest. I really, because people are just so nice and so welcoming and so supportive. Yeah, it was great.
That's awesome. I don't want to take too much of your time. Anything else you want to plug? Anything else you want to showcase?
I'm thinking anything else, because I have two things that I'm dying to talk about. Actually, three.
3 things?
Jeez.
I can tell you what's on your IMDb if I say it.
But you can't trust IMDb. The movie I just booked is not even on IMDb.
Fair enough. There's World of Beauty that says something here. Yes. Deafening Silence.
That's That's music movies.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But they're still a little ways away. I have a motorcycle movie this year. That's my dream project, and then I have my female warrior that I'm shooting in a month or so.
The fantasy one, yeah.
Yeah, the fantasy one. And then I have something that I developed myself. That's gonna, it always takes twice as long, and now I'm doing a movie. So I don't know when. I don't want to put any date on it, but definitely this year. So I have like these 3 very exciting projects, and I am excited to see Chief of Station. It's a Jesse Johnson movie, so I hope it's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome. I'm sure of it. And I would love to have you back on when you can talk about the 3 things you just mentioned. That's when I can
talk. But the fantasy one, I think I'm going
to love it. Yeah, I'm going to love it. Cool. Well, it was wonderful talking to you, Nina. Thank you. And have a good day, everybody.